to a story that's sending shockwaves well beyond the Middle East. US President Trump agreed to a 2-week ceasefire in his war with Iran, just over an hour before his deadline to begin a bombing campaign to wipe out a civilization. His threat made on Easter Sunday has ignited calls for Article 25, a section of the US Constitution that allows for the removal of a sitting president.
Where do we start? Well, why don't we start with just a quick look, if you haven't already had the opportunity to see the truths that he put out on Easter Sunday, and then the follow-up from there. Let's see now.
Every time I see that replayed anywhere or I read that statement from him on Easter morning, it's a good thing I'm sitting and I just get this knot in my stomach, a pit in my stomach to think that forget about President of the United States. Anybody, anywhere would come out and say something like that. We pretty much call up the hospital and bring out the straitjacket. But this is the President of the United States who has a red button right beside him at any given moment in time. And, you know, not just the fact that we're neighbors to the United States, Gary, this is just absolutely scary, mind-boggling, insane stuff for him to come out and say something like that. And for me, you know what's even scarier, Gary? There are people there that go, hoorah, this is, yeah, okay, way to go, yeah. What is wrong with freaking people, Gary? I'm sorry about the choice of language here, but I just don't know how else to coin everything he has said over the last 48 hours. It's just incomprehensible that the President of the United States, as you said, sitting President of the United States, would come out and say something like that. And the sad part is, he didn't stoop to lower levels to actually come out and say something like that. This is Donald Trump at his best.
At a news conference on Monday where he talked about the rescue of the other downed Air Force pilot.
Right.
Here is when he was questioned by reporters again about the deadline coming up last night. Here is one response, and I thought, you know, I'm not surprised. It just follows along with these posts on social media.
We're giving them till tomorrow, 8 o'clock Eastern time, and after that, they're going to have no bridges, they're going to have no power plants. Stone Ages, yeah, Stone Age.
Did you see him? And a number of times during that news conference that he held, he all of a sudden looked like, you know, he talking about the Stone Age. Yeah, the Stone Age. Were you falling asleep, Donald? Or were you just all of a sudden just drifting off into La La Land somewhere? And that's the way he looked a couple of times during the news conference as well. Mm-hmm. Like he didn't really have full faculties on display.
Yeah.
And no wonder, as soon as that Truth Social post went out on Easter Sunday, it started the talk again about using Article 25 to remove a sitting president. That, in fact, he has lost his ability to carry out the duties of the position. And there's rumblings, there's louder rumblings now than ever in the Republican ranks, but there's still nobody with the strength to step forward, make the snowball, and throw it. But man, oh man, every day there's another step in that other direction by this guy.
Right. And Gary, if you remember when he was inaugurated in January of 2025, I think within about 3 or 4 weeks, we in one of our episodes, one thing that struck me right off the bat in terms of a comment you made is that you had said right off the bat, it doesn't seem like there's a functional government in the United States based on everything he was proposing, what he was saying he was going to do, and the things he started to do. And then, of course, from time to time, we were forced to speak about what was going on with the United States because it's significantly impacted Canada and the rest of the world in terms of his proposals and decisions. And again, we both looked at each other and said, there isn't a functional government in the United States of America. Now, fast forward to where we stand now, Gary. Article 25, pundits questioning his mental stability, his capability of governing, hell, his capability to at least put a sentence together without going on about his great his great plaza that he's building, the arc that he's going to be building, the addition to the White House, when the world's falling apart because of the actions he's taking. And again, Gary, where is the functional government to enact anything to stop him? No one, no person, no element of the United States government has put their foot down and did not accept no for an answer. Meaning, like basically he's saying, oh, they're going to say you can't do this, that, and the other thing. And he just says no. And he keeps on going on about it. Okay. So no element of the government has in the last 16 to 17 months put a stop to anything he's doing that's not lawful, that's against the Constitution, and that's against human decency and dignity. No one has stepped up, A, and B, the government itself is inept and make zero effort to stand in his way for anything he's wanting to do. So my concern and panic about those statements that he made on Truth Social and in front of the camera, Gary, he says his mind says he's going to do this. I'm afraid that at some point he's going to do this because right now, no one in the government, nor the military, anyone standing in his way in the military is being pushed in the side, are stepping in to stop this person, this man, this disgusting human being. No U.S. government entity is stopping him. And you know what? You're looking at the last thing the United States wants, or any country in the world, is for the leader of the country to be compromised. Right now, he's mentally compromised. I don't know how anyone doesn't see that, A. And B, because of that compromised state of mind that he's in, who is manipulating him? Who's pushing the buttons? And it seems like somebody's pulling the strings and he's just going along with it. And the United States government is not putting a stop to it. That's where the world basically collectively holds his breath every time he makes a threat like this. Is he going to carry it out? Because right now, no one seems to be able to stop him.
Well, the other side, Eddie, is his Secretary of War has fired most of the top military brass over the last number of months.
There's more than a dozen of them.
Yeah. So, you've got a lot of experience walking out the door. And I remember watching one, I believe he was either an elected official or he was a retired upper rank military type, U.S. And he said, if he's going to bomb power plants, that it falls under, unless they can justify that there's some kind of military aspect to those power plants, that it's a war crime, and that any military official who has been tasked with doing that should just look at them and say no, and I'm out. And then the next one they bring in, the same thing. He said, just go right down the line, because the military has to stand up and say, this is wrong. This is not true engagement of war. But even at that stage, I'm sure the people that Hegseth moved out, some of the senior people that he moved out, were the ones who would say no. And we're the ones who were saying, you can't do this. This is wrong. You're violating the Geneva Convention and the rules for engagement. You're violating those rules. It's a criminal act.
Yeah.
Okay, so all right, you're not going to play ball with us? Out. We'll find somebody who will. And the other side of it is, do you think that a convicted felon, pedophile, cares about the rule of law?
Not at all.
He's a convicted felon. He doesn't care about the rule of law. And the United States, a number of different administrations have a very checkered history with the international court, the World Court.
Mm-hmm.
So, and in particular, Donald Trump, he's not going to pay attention to anything that the World Court, even if a ruling comes out, he's not going to pay any attention to it at all.
He's actually come out and said it.
Yeah.
He doesn't think that what he's doing. He said, "Well, I'm not worried about that. About
Exactly.
War crimes. I'm not worried about that." He's not. You know what? He is not afraid of anything because no one has dared to stop him. This term too, no one has dared to step in his way, A, and B, he's surrounded by yes people. And C, you have Hegseth replacing people opposing to what's going on with yes people. At some point, he's going to get right down to the line where he's going to find the right people to do the president's bidding. And that's the scary part.
Surely to God, well, when I look at some of them, I question their IQs. But who am I? Anyway, what we are witnessing is the destruction of the United States. It's on a fast track now.
Yeah.
It is gaining momentum. And could that country be on the cusp of another civil war?
Mm-hmm.
I think probably what happens is in the campaign leading up to the midterms and what happens around the midterms, I think will give us an indication as to exactly where this is going. And I would not be surprised. They've had a number of No Kings protests again over the last couple of weekends, thousands in the streets. But what's happening after they all go home?
Same old, same old.
Yeah. It's like, are they going out for the protest and then just going home and hoping that it's going to get better? Are they not going after their elected representatives and challenging them to do the job of representing the people who elected them?
You know what? Quite frankly, I believe they probably have. And if you're looking at the Democratic Party and some of the people you would expect to take the lead and charge and be very vocal about it and get something done, are just not doing it. All they're doing is finding the right camera, finding the right microphone, and saying the right things. Blah, 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 blah. What are you doing about it? Chuck Schumer, what a waste of space. Hakeem Jeffries, what a waste of space. Yeah, we're all behind these people. We had 9 million people in the streets and yada, yada, yada. And we've got the midterms coming up in November. Do you believe that ICE agents are not going to be surrounding many of these polling stations that they have not been able to gerrymander? Of course they're going to be there. No question about it in my mind. And Gary, we talked about this before. The United Nations, along with the encouragement of the United States, has in the past historically put boots on the ground in polling stations for countries that are trying to get a democratically elected government in place to make sure that the elections are fair. You know what? The United Nations, on the behest of the rest of the world, should be sending the military, a coalition, to the polling station in the United States of America, believe it or not, to make sure that the elections are held fairly, to make sure a democratically elected government is put into place. This is what we're going to have to need, Gary. Otherwise, it's just going to be an absolute shit show. And I haven't thought about it in a long time, but now that you bring it up, civil war in the United States of America in today's day and age, and you kind of think back, how the hell did we get to this state? How the hell did we get to this position? Over to you, Gary.
I think the dog agrees with you, Eddie. It's chiming in.
Yeah, I just have to put it on mute for a second. No, I don't know, Gary. It's just it is just so scary. Every passing day, it gets worse.
The sad thing about it, the Democratic Party in the United States right now is much like the new Democratic Party here in Canada. It's nothing.
Yeah.
It's nothing. As a matter of fact, I think the Democratic Party in the United States, even though they have a lot more elected members than the NDP here in Canada, I just think that party is just bodies filling seats.
Let me make my money, and at some point I'll leave.
Yeah.
That's the way I see it.
That's where it seems to be going, or both, that a lot of these elected representatives are intimidated, and they can be intimidated very easily by some of the tough rolling Republicans or just friends of DJT popping up somewhere and having a discussion with them. But the Democrats don't have, right now to me, don't have a hope in hell of winning. I don't even know who they'd run, actually, what kind of a ticket they could put together. But they don't have a hope in hell, of a snowball in hell.
Are you talking about the next presidential election?
Yep. Yeah. We're about 2.5 years away.
Mm-hmm.
Three. I don't know who their savior is going to be. I don't see any evidence of any kind of a savior coming out of the woodwork. And if Trump gives up the presidency, and we all know he's been, making noises over the last number of years that, maybe blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
Who's going to come in and remove him if he decides, I'm not leaving the Oval Office?
Well, I'm glad you brought that point up, Gary. Okay, great. You know what? There might be a wave of blue coming in November. Let's say they take 75% of the jurisdictions. So what? What's that going to do? Oh, Mr. Trump, you lost the election. Oh, no, he didn't. I'm staying. What are they going to do?
Yeah.
And they're not doing anything about it now. What are they going to do in November?
Yeah.
I mean, unless somebody shows up with a straitjacket and handcuffs, he's not leaving. That's the way I hate to be a pessimist, but that's what I'm afraid of, and that's what I think is going to happen. He is not going to be leaving that seat without a fight. He's going to do what he wants to do, and he will continue doing it because Congress is just not in any position now, or I don't think they're going to be in any position in November either, unless he's forcefully pushed into abiding by American law and the Constitution. Well, I don't know how else to point it.
You know, even after the midterms, if the Democrats manage to gain control of the House, are they going to have the drive, the strength to stand up to the guy? Because you know he's just going to ignore. He doesn't care who's sitting there. He's just going to ignore and continue doing what he wants to do. He's in
just
a
like
war.
A crime boss. Just like a crime boss.
Exactly. And you know, that's why you have every time somebody comes in to meet him in the White House, they go to the gold room and sit, and so that he has on display another one coming in to kiss the ring.
Kiss the ring, yes.
That's what those sessions amount to, kissing the ring. And he just enjoys every second of it. But he's the only other thing, Eddie, is like he's not well, and it's becoming more apparent in that press conference on Monday. He was there, but he wasn't a lot of times.
We're dealing with two things, right? We're looking at his physical frailty. He looks like a frail old man, and you know what? He looks worse than Biden at that time. Way worse than Biden. Physically frail. Okay, that's one thing. That doesn't frighten me that much. It's his mental instability that's turning this world on its ear. You know what? Frailty, I get that. We all get old. But when you're looking at his lack of mental faculty in the position that he's in, that's what the world is afraid of.
The war in Iran and this so-called 2-week ceasefire. You know, we've won the war. We won the war 2 weeks ago, kind of thing. And yet here's a guy who was looking for any sort of opening at all where he could get out of the statements he had made about wiping out an entire civilization. And the only reason he wanted out of it was because some of his money buddies behind him are saying the markets are tanking, oil's increasing in price, which is great if you've got stock in oil right now, but the bottom line of it is the global economy is starting to cave in, and it's not that far away. It's very fragile, and we're going to lose money.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's looking for a way because, first of all, he doesn't have the experience in the top military ranks anymore that he had even 2 weeks ago because of the people they showed the door. And there was you can't tell me he had any kind of an exit plan when he started this.
No way. I don't even think he understands why he started it.
Well, exactly.
He was directed to start it and to participate in it, but really no idea why, because numerous times he's been asked, along with Hexet and all his cronies, what is it exactly you went into war for, and what is it exactly you expect to declare victory? And he was just saying, oh, we won the war. Based on what? Not once, and it's what, week 4, week 5 right now? Not once was there any level of clarity from anybody from that administration, including him. Absolutely zero, which is why now they're struggling to get out. This morning I was watching something with my wife on television. I can't remember what podcast it was, where the individual was saying, and it goes back to Hitler's days. Not even Adolf Hitler ever came out and was reported to saying, I am going to exterminate a culture that they'll never be able to recover. No one in the history of the world, written or recorded, has ever said anything like that, except the President of the United States in 2026. So there is going to be an ugly blemish in the world's history books that a living president of the United States of America in 2026 threatened to wipe out a culture out of existence. Never happened before. So not a very, very proud thing that you can actually boast, right?
Far from it.
Far from it. And the thing about him is right now he's stuck. So we kind of say, all right, the UN right now is all about the Straits of Hormuz and opening that up, right? Well, it was open before you did anything. American interests were allowed going through the Straits of Hormuz. And now Iran controls the Strait of Hormuz. The 10-point plan requires them to have full access and command of the Strait of Hormuz. They're charging a $2 million toll for every ship that goes through, or that's what they want in their 10-point plan. Today, the Strait of Hormuz is open to anybody, as long as it's not U.S. interests or allies of the United States of America, but it remains open. So what is it exactly he was after? And you know what, Gary, we're never going to find out. He might have had marching orders for all we know, but at the end of the day, we are where we are today because of a combination of shaking hands and supporting Israeli forces in the Middle East, and they bombed the hell out of Iran. Obviously not enough because they're still in full operation. So how is it that he won the war? Because he said so? Come on, grow up. And you know what? The people around him grow up. And the 35% of the people who still support this maniac, what the hell, man? I don't know what to say. 35% support still this despicable human being. I just don't get it.
And have you noticed the change in tone? Like today, for example, Iran limited the number of ships passing through.
Yeah,
because the Israelis were bombing Lebanon. And so we haven't heard any great outcry from the White House about that, other than I think Vance was quoted as saying that, these are just some of the details that we have to work out in our meeting this weekend.